Hello everyone and welcome back to Arctic Retro. In today's video I'm gonna take a look at this one. It's a floppy disk drive, a 5¼ inch. However, I don't know anything about it and what machines it can be used with, so that's what I'm trying to figure out now, and yeah, to see if we can actually use it on something and make it work. I don't know if it's working or anything, and unfortunately I can't find a lot of information about this disk online either, so yeah, a bit stuck on this one. We'll see how this goes. Yes, and I just want to say thanks a lot for subscribing and watching my channel, and if you want to hit that like button, I will be delighted. Alright, so this is the drive and it looks rather nice. It has no damages. The paint on the case is looking very nice, kind of clean too, and it's labeled here as COMBITEC, which I have never heard about. It has yeah, some kind of serial number here. This is the front and it looks like a regular old 5¼ inch floppy drive. However, what's a little bit strange about this, it's yeah, it has a DB23 connector, and this is obviously for the power supply, which I don't have, and it looks like it has a throughput to this DB23 connector there. It has a 80 and 40 track selector and on and off. So this is kind of a special drive. I have never seen something like this. Before I continue, I just want to say thank you to my sponsor PCBWay. They do a great job at producing prototype PCBs. I have used them many times, so I really appreciate the cooperation. Besides making pre-populated boards, they can also take care of other of your hobbyists' needs. They do PCB prototyping, PCB assembly, FPC rigid flex, advanced PCB, CNC and 3D printing, and SMD stencils. And right now they are hosting their 6th project design contest. If you have made your own design that you want to share, then you can participate in this contest, and there's great prizes for you to win. So head over to PCBWay right now. So I bought this recently from a guy at the Norwegian Retro Computers Facebook group, and according to him, he didn't know much about it. He thought it was for a Commodore 64 or Amiga, but definitely not for the C64. I mean, yeah, it could be for an Amiga. Maybe it fits the Amiga external disk contact is a DB23, so it would fit physically. However, without the power supply and no other information about this drive, I have to open it up and see if we can find some clues on what this is. So searching for the name COMBITEC gives me all kinds of different types of companies with that name. However, nothing that has to do with floppy drives. If I search COMBITEC floppy drive, I actually do get some hits of some old stuff. Big Book of Amiga Hardware.com has this one, COMBITEC, and looks like the same logo in fact. So there is some, yeah, Amiga stuff made by this company, obviously. RAM expansion, but I couldn't find this actual drive anywhere, no picture or anything for it. Yeah, there's a few hard drives and some types of floppy disk drives and controller cards showing up, but could not find a single picture about the single 5¼ inch floppy disk drive from this company. Now the power connector, it's yeah, 6-pin DIN connector. I tried with this one for 1541, but that does not fit. This is a 4-pin. So in order to get this working at all, I obviously need something to power it up with, but then we need to know what kind of pins, pinout and voltages it is using. So what I'm gonna look for is to find a manufacturer name or something, or type. Maybe it's just a standard floppy drive that we can find online and get all the necessary information about. Maybe it's for a PC, I don't know. I never had a 5¼ inch external floppy disk drive like this. But I mean, for the Amiga it's kind of unusual, because that one used 3½ inch drives for the most part. Yeah, let's see what we have. Alright, the inside of the drive looks very nice and clean. Just gonna check with a little cotton swab test here, see if there's any dirt. No, hardly anything. Everything looks alright, and it's a TIAC, and it has a number there. I'll try to Google that and see what we have. Yeah, and this label says TIAC FD55GFR. That's the one I'm gonna Google. Yeah, here I found it. TIAC FD55GFR is the most capable drive in the TIAC FD55 series, available, able to read discs written by all other models in the series. It can read and write double-sided high-density 80 tracks, 1.2 megabyte discs, and it can read double-sided double-density 40 tracks, 360 kilobyte discs, and some other formats. And this actually says bus type PC floppy. Yeah, now with that real name of the drive, I can actually find a lot of information. This is specifications for the drive. And it says here it requires plus 5 volts and plus 12 volts. So that should make me able to make a little adapter or something to power this up, if I have that type of DIN connector that is. Alright, so the actual drive will probably need a controller to be able to be used in a PC, most definitely. I don't have that, I think, that could be used with this. So there is something additional here, and this is probably some kind of controller card provided by COMBITEC then. No clue about that, but yeah, let me remove this and see what we can figure out. So that released the whole thing, and yeah, seems to be just a regular edge connector there. I'm wondering if this could work on my Tiki 100, the old Norwegian microcomputer from the 80s. However, what does this card do, and what does it interface to? Yeah, it just uses a regular power connector from that era, so it's plus 5 and 12 volts in. Yeah, and there's some wire directly soldered to this jumper, and one is soldered directly to the PCB here. Taking a look at the chips, they are labeled 8847 and 8837, so this was made in 1988 then. And according to the specification for this Molex connector, this pin should be 12 volts, so I just write 12 there. The two in the middle are ground, and then this is obviously 5. So then I just need to figure out where those voltages come from on this connector. However, this has several more pins, so it has a couple of 74 logic chips on it, but besides that there is not much going on. It's just connections going to the cable and to this extension, and yeah, to the power switch, and these two to the drive. So nothing much happening there. I doubt there should be a need for any other voltages. Just gonna check with the multimeter and see if there's a direct line from 12 volts to this connector. Yeah, and that's brown. Then let's check a ground. Yeah, that's purple in the middle. And then the 5 volt, none of those. Strange. Nope, there's nothing. That's strange. So it seems 5 volts is connected to one pin on the DB23. That's the pin. Then this only has 12 volt and ground, but what are all the other pins for? Is it for some kind of data transfer, this one too? I mean, it does fit with a regular IC cable for the Commodore 64 and the 1541 drive. It's the same pins, but I mean, this can't be used for a Commodore 64 because it doesn't have any of the required components that you need. The 1541 drives, they actually has their own CPU and ROM, and everything is in the drive. This is a much more dumber one, but as I said, I can't tell for sure. And for sure the 12 volt is also provided via this pin on the DB23. So yeah, maybe this drive doesn't require a power supply. It's powered from the DB23, like on the Amiga, on the external 3.5-inch drives. And then this is perhaps just another connector for communicating with the drive, like a serial connector or something. And I already ruined the drive, and this wire came loose, but it's going there. Just gonna resolder it. Fiddly thin little wire. Okay, so I have measured a little bit more, and I have mapped out the connector, the 6-pin DIN connector, and every pin there corresponds to one pin on this one. And yeah, I'm pretty sure now that this is for an Amiga, in fact, because this circuit, I got a tip from my friend Koiro to check out some Amiga hardware reference documentation. Yeah, and this circuit actually just maps from this DB23 connector used on the Amiga to the PC standard floppy connector that this is. And there's a NAND chip and a flip-flop, and yeah, take a look at this. This is the Amiga System Programmer's Guide, and in here there's a chapter about the Amiga hardware, and specifically these pages talks about the external floppy drive connector. And here, in fact, there's a chapter about connecting an external drive to the Amiga, and here it tells you that in order to do that you need to add a circuit with a motor flip-flop, and then it just maps the different pins on the different connectors like this, and the power from the DB23 comes on pin 12 and goes to the corresponding pin on the power input on the floppy drive, and so on. And the next page, and this page says that you need a NAND gate in this circuit used for identification mode. The flip-flop was used for a motor control. And using this circuit you can actually hook up two of these drives, which we have the opportunity here since it already has a connector for that. But I don't understand what this is used for, in fact. I think I got the pin numbers reversed here. I just read on the actual connector here, but it seems to be a reverse of what was outlined in that circuit. No, actually it turns out this was correct pinout after all, because yeah, I think I just mixed up the 12 and the 5 volt. However, what are those pins on this connector then used for? Well, I'm not at all that familiar with old floppy disk interfaces, but according to this, 13 is side selection, 15 is also hooked up, track 0 indicator, 18 and 19 step move the read head and direction of head movement. So it has something to do with controlling the floppy disk, but why are only those mapped out to that port? If any of you knows anything about that, I'll be happy to read a comment below about that. And yeah, ground is obviously for ground. That was 3 and 4. So this is then correct, but I don't know why that is like that. Anyway, I'm not gonna do anything else with this drive for now. I'm just gonna clean the read and write heads a little bit and lubricate a little bit, and then I'm actually gonna test it on an Amiga. So keep watching and see what happens next. I pulled out one of my trusty old Amiga 500s, and yeah, this was recapped and cleaned up in 1919. Still works. It has the 2.0 ROM, as you can see, and yeah, just gonna check that I can boot from Workbench from it before I hook up the floppy drive. There's always some issue with these machines, either bad floppy disk or yeah, doesn't boot or doesn't read the disk or anything like that. Yeah, this one seems to work. Yeah, that booted up. Alright, let's hook up this strange floppy disk drive. Just gonna turn off the machine first, just to be sure. I'm taking a chance here. It might be that the machine can't power this up and actually damages itself or blows a fuse. Let's see what happens. Here I have a double-sided, double-density disc. However, yeah, it actually... yeah, look at that. It actually started. Yeah, and there it shows up as DF1, but obviously it's not formatted for the Amiga, so we need to format it first. How was that again? There, format disk. Please insert disk to be initialized in the drive DF1. Yeah, it starts. How cool. It's formatting, and it's damn quiet too. Can't almost hear it. Says here busy now. So how cool is that? I wasn't even aware that there was any 5 1/4 inch floppy disk drives for the Amiga. But I know now that Commodore actually made one. I think it was called 1020 or something, don't remember exactly. Yeah, now it started to make a little ticking noise here for every cylinder. Yeah, and that finished successfully. It says empty here. So it has 834 kilobytes free and 3K in use. Let's try this copy here. Oh no, it can only handle one drive, so I can't copy from DF0 to DF1. But at least I can copy files and stuff by just drag and drop, so that works. So now it copies the whole system folder into the new disk. Empty has write error, okay. So might not be working perfectly then. Might be the floppy disk itself, seems to have some write error, yes. I started the Amiga test kit, and here we can actually test the floppy drive, so let's try that. F2 DF1. So we have a signal test and we have a read test. Yeah, and there it found some red blocks, so yeah. Probably the disc itself might be bad, or maybe it's a little bit misaligned or something. But the drive actually gives a little bang on all these tracks, so wonder if it's all that healthy after all. Yeah, seems like around half the disc is bad. Let's try a write test. Yeah, that went okay. Can we format here? What about the head calibration test? Seems to be alright. I'm trying another floppy just to check. Yeah, it's the same there. After it passed 40, it started making another noise, banging. And do you know what? I just remembered this has a 40-80 track switch. So I'm not going to switch it right now. Let me just come back immediately. Yeah, and sure enough, it is on 40 now. So yeah, let's change it to 80 and try to reformat. Yeah, and sure enough, no, it doesn't make that sound anymore. So it's now passing 40 and sounds normal. Let's try the retest again. Okay, doesn't seem promising. It says B, probably bad. And since it's in the beginning, I suspect this floppy disk is in fact bad. I'm gonna try the first one and format it again. First disk is reformatted and looks good so far. Yes, looking great. So that was it. It's that switch, 40-80 tracks. All right, finished. Nice. Let's see now, can we actually copy a disk from one drive to the other as usually? Drive 0, drive 1. Yeah, that works. I mean, why shouldn't it? So now I'm just copying the workbench disk over to the 5¼ inch floppy disk and see if we can boot from it. Yeah, that completed. Let's see if it boots from the external drive now. Yes, it does. Fantastic. I think when you use the original external floppy drive, you can't boot from them. You need a boot selector. However, this seems to be working without that. So that's nice. Okay, that was it for this video. I didn't know anything about this drive when I started, but now I know a lot more. And yeah, it's nice to have a 5¼ inch floppy disk drive for the Amigas. Never experienced that before. And yeah, just want to say thanks and hope you learned something, and thanks a lot for all the subscribes and likes, and a special thanks to my patrons. See you all. Bye bye.